Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the uncommon rock-type Pokemon Nosepass and its exceptionally rare rock-steel-type evolution Probopass, the two collectively known as the Compass Pokémon. Strange in form to be sure, but nonetheless hard to get out of the way, the members of the Nosepass family are unique creatures that can weather the toughest of blows in battle and keep right on going against normal assaults.
Nosepass have angular bluish-purple bodies made mostly of rock, with a pair of small, semi-cylindrical feet with hollow bottoms and a pair of crude, angular arms attached to the sides of their body, with round holes at the ends to help them grasp objects, as well as a pair on the sides of their body to allow them to hear their surroundings. They further have black eye marks that are always closed, and the most noticeable trait is their large reddish-pink nose, which sticks out prominently from the rest of their form. Their evolved form, Probopass, also possess angular bluish-purple stone bodies, but they are lacking limbs entirely, instead possessing a trio of mini-nose drones that are used to attack others from afar with, while they float in the air with their intense electromagnetic field. They have bright blue eyes, a large red double-layer stone cap at the top of their body, and have a much larger nose in this state, with a mustache of metallic particles that often accrues on the underside of their nose.
While the members of the Nosepass family are primary rock types, they naturally have access to a surprising array of electric-type moves as a result of the highly magnetized bodies.
The rocks that comprise the majority of these creatures' bodies contain a tremendous concentration of iron and other readily magnetized metals, and are effectively imbued with an intense magnetic field from the moment of creation. While a little more than a quirk in comparison to the extent of their other natural abilities, this abnormal magnetism makes battling with them both an exceptional challenge and an interesting time all around. Starting out, Nosepass cannot actually control their body that much because their mobility strength is not enough to overcome their own magnetic fields. In short, their bodies act like giant compasses, and their noses, which contain the highest concentration of magnetic metals, always point towards the magnetic North Pole. This does not mean that these creatures cannot actually move against their own magnetism, however, as they can move a little over 3/8 of an inch per year, and if they are in danger and need to escape, they can spin and drill themselves into the ground in a split second to hide until they feel they are safe.
Needless to say, this limited mobility can make battling with these odd creatures difficult, as they cannot directly face the opposition in most cases, even when attacking them. Moreover, because the noses are designed to point towards the magnetic North Pole with the same polarity, two Nosepass can never completely face each other.
Normally, these creatures do not have the capacity to evolve, and are effectively complete from birth, but under the presence of certain magnetic fields or thunderstones, the metals within the bodies of Nosepass are drawn to the surface of their bodies to form a protective shield around the surface of the rocky form, while additional metals are drawn from the local environment to complete their shell. In doing so, their entire internal and external structure is rearranged and altered to provide better abilities all around, facilitating their evolution into Probopass. Since their bodies are covered in a semi-thick layer of solid metal, Probopass are considered as both rock and steel types and are thus far more heavily armored against damage than Nosepass, particularly in regards to special defense.
More importantly though, evolution grants these creatures the ability to actually control and move against their own magnetic field, so they do not always have to point towards the magnetic North Pole like Nosepass.
This is notably impressive because Probopass also possess much stronger magnetic fields than Nosepass, to the point where an electrical device that is put in their close vicinity will cease to function entirely, and effectively tend to pull any metallic objects near them in battle straight to their body. This is more than evidenced by the bizarre mustache that exists underneath their noses, which is actually made from small specks of iron and other metals that have been magnetized and electrically fused to the portion of their body with the strongest magnetism in semi-thick strands.
As a consequence of their sturdy forms and magnetic powers, these creatures can naturally gain access to the sturdy and magnet pull abilities as base abilities, while those that instead prefer to use their magnetism to cause charged sand grains to stick to them to increase the mass and force of their basic attacks can also have Sand Force as a hidden ability.
In looking at their stats in the case of Probopass, these creatures don't have much to offer in the way of real offense, agility, or stamina because of their bulky and rocky forms, but they more than excel when it comes to their defensive attributes, their base defense and special defense stats being above average for fully evolved rock and steel type Pokemon, further possessing the highest base special defense stat out of all steel type Pokemon, tied with Registeel, rendering them tough nuts to crack if they can't be taken out with super effective strikes quickly. Since their movement abilities are restricted, Nosepass have learned not to rely on their own eyesight to rectify this, and instead focus on the electromagnetic fields given off by other creatures as a way of locating and pulling their prey close to them with their magnetism, although it may work against them in this sense if they accidentally pull an enemy closer instead. Aside from possessing considerable physical defenses and a surprisingly high resistance against special attacks to counter this issue, Nosepass have an interesting way of defending themselves against other creatures that, although usually only a move of last resort, can prove to be quite devastating in the right circumstances. If Nosepass find themselves cornered and have no way of defending themselves properly against an opponent, they will temporarily energize their bodies with their own electrical energy and increase the strength of their magnetic field to the point where they begin to attract nearly every single metallic object within at least 100 feet. This in turn forms a protective shield around their bodies that not only keeps them from being harmed for at least a little while, but also allows them to further increase the strength of their electric type attacks by turning their junk shield into an electrical amplifier. Though this might not aid them much where their best abilities lay, in practice this can easily make Nosepass a devastating weapon against even the most stubborn of water types.
Although they're only slightly faster than Nosepass, Probopass are far more efficient in battle because of the 3 small units they carry around with them.
Aside from giving the creatures the capacity to learn the smackdown air defense and magnet ball moves alongside the tri-attack, flash cannon, magnet rise, magnetic flux, gravity and wide guard moves, these odd-looking figures referred to as mini-noses are created shortly after Nosepass evolved and essentially serve as their primary means of delivering physical attacks in their current form. The mini-noses are crafted from the same material as Probopass and effectively act as mobile limbs that they can control and manipulate from up to 10 feet away through their electromagnetic field. Because these objects are not directly connected to Probopass in any way, they serve as effective tools for striking prey and opponents alike from afar with attacks like Stone Edge from up to 3 different directions and without actually placing Probopass in danger, in turn allowing them to completely preserve their defensive stance in battle while still being able to strike from all surrounding angles. Moreover, even though these objects can be affected by magnetism from other sources and in turn can get lost in trying to return to their owner, if these mini-noses are ever lost or destroyed in battle, Probopass can repair or reconstruct them from scratch with little trouble. The only downside these odd figures have is that without them, Probopass are unable to utilize any physical attacks outside of a weak tackle attack to deal damage. Since they are more effective at special attacks though, this is unlikely to ever be much of an issue in battle.
As much as I would really like to be able to take these creatures seriously, I'm sorry, I just can't. I mean, just look at them. Do they not have the funniest looking faces you've ever seen in a Pokemon? Well, that aside, though, I will give credit where it is due, as these beasts are some of the few that can really take hits well both physically and from special attacks, and that's honestly really impressive for rock types. Even if they might not be able to do much in the way of real damage, Nosepass is sturdy creatures that can take a heck of a beating, and while their mobility might be a bit limited because of the magnetic properties, they still have their ways around that and can be formidable to take on with weaker or unevolved Pokemon. Thankfully, movement is not an issue for them once they evolve into Probopass, and while they certainly look both silly and cute, they can actually hit decently hard with some of their attacks, even if they're still all about defense and have a surprising range of motion accessible to them. While they might crumble relatively easily in response to fighting and ground type attacks among other types to a lesser extent, they can nonetheless take a good chunk of damage before falling, and thus can be a pain to handle if their weaknesses can't be readily targeted.
Though they may look goofy to some in appearances alone, the members of the Nosepass family are still sturdy creatures that can prove to be a handful for those unprepared for their incredible defenses. They might not be winning many battles on offense alone, but with their stats, they more than have the capacity to outlast others if their defenses cannot be directly broken through.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to keep them far away from electronic devices when out in public, as they won't have to get very close to anything of the sort for them to instantly fry them and leave you broke, paying out of pocket for any resulting repairs or replacements.
Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.